This week on inCycle, we're off to Sweden and Varda.
I think the combination, team time trial and the road race a few days later, is a good combination.
Chad Haga tells us about that crash.
I realized I very easily could have died, and I wondered about my teammates and friends because all I could remember was the mental image before impact.
We meet the new Olympic champion, Dutchwoman Anna van der Breggen.
You have to feel it, and I saw the sign of 150 meters and I thought, okay, this is okay, I just go. It's just, you have to be first at the finish line, and I tried it, and maybe you cannot call it a sprint, but it was just perfect.
But first, Tour de France king Chris Froome.
I never thought I'd reach the level that I have now.
His rise to the top of the sport doesn't look like it's about to stop. This year, Chris Froome joined the select club of three-time Tour de France winners. Now that record of 5 looks well within his reach. And inCycle caught up with the Team Sky rider on the eve of his second Grand Tour of the season.
I dream one day of maybe winning a stage of the Tour de France, but to actually win the whole thing, and obviously 3 times now, it's an incredibly special position to be in.
Froome's journey from a childhood in Kenya to the most dominant tour rider of his generation is well documented. Very much his own man, he told inCycle that he had no real heroes as reference points when he started out.
I think it was a very different time when I was growing up and looking at cycling. There weren't really the best role models to look at then. I got to a stage, obviously, following the Lance Armstrong era, guys like Ivan Basso, Lance Armstrong battling it out. I got to a stage where I actually stopped idolizing those kind of guys and basically just focused on doing things myself.
An obsessive focus on one race above all, the Tour. Unlike other great champions, he feels no pressure to turn to winning all 3 Grand Tours.
As far as the Tour de France goes, I think it's probably not the best preparation to be doing the Giro d'Italia just a month or so beforehand. I mean, things might change in the future, but for now, I think definitely my focus is going to be on the Tour, and obviously the best way to get into that, we've sort of found a system that works for us now, and I don't think I'm going to be making too many changes to that.
But the recent trend for GC riders to go from the Tour to the Vuelta sits well with Froome, and it's a race he feels he can add to his palmarès.
Well, I'd love to come to the Vuelta España one year. Absolutely focus for that and have a perfect build-up to the Vuelta. Vuelta's a race I really enjoy doing. I've come second twice now in it. It's certainly going to be a race that's going to be really hard for me to win if I am going to continue focusing on the Tour de France, but I'd love to give that a shot one day.
There has been one big change in Froome's life, the birth of his first child.
I think certainly there are more sacrifices now that I've got Kellen at home. It definitely has its own challenges, but I have to say, I mean, my wife is incredibly supportive, and she's doing all the night shifts, so I still get my sleep and I can still train the way I need to. But yeah, I mean, certainly life does become more challenging with a little one around.
And while a Tour contender's lifestyle may be at odds with being a regular dad, Froome says his son's arrival has given him an extra gear.
I'm missing so much of his growing up, and so it does become more of a sacrifice, but because of that, it makes me want to work even harder. Now that I'm away, I'm going to make sure that really counts. But yeah, I mean, certainly for motivation, I think if anything, it's really spurred me on this year and given me something else to fight for.
For me, I think the moment was in the Giro. After some bad luck in the races before, I had a crash and I got ill. But then you're a bit like, not in top shape, and the races weren't going like I would hope to. But in the Giro, I felt stronger every day. So I thought, okay, this is the good moment, because after Giro, I still have 3 weeks to get in that really top shape. So then I came out of the Giro pretty well, so since then on it was just hard training.
And all that training had its reward when Anna van der Breggen became Olympic champion, beating the best athletes of her generation, and also a course that would put the riders at their limit.
Yeah, the first thing was the parcours, of course. It was, I think, the hardest parcours of a one-day race we ever had. And it had everything. We were riding along the coastline and there was wind. We had cobblestones, pretty bad, especially in the beginning. We had some small climbs, hard, steep, downhills. It was almost 140k, so it was a long race. Yeah, you can call that a tough race. I knew this is an opportunity maybe I will never have in my life again. The race was like that. There were girls were attacking and everybody knew the last climb is the hardest one, so if I want to make a chance, maybe I have to go before it. The speed was high and the attacking didn't stop at all. And then of course the final hard climb, and it was just painful, but yeah, it was a really nice climb and hard, and also the downhill was pretty technical. And Annemiek was on front, so that was good. I only need to keep it with Elisa and Emma. Yeah, and then of course we saw Annemiek in the downhill, so it changes a lot.
For Van der Breggen and those chasing the breakaway, seeing Annemiek van Vleuten motionless on the final descent cannot have been easy.
Yeah, I think it was the same for the three of us. We saw Annemiek and we didn't really think about the race that moment. You don't think about it. You see Annemiek and she was laying on a really strange way with nobody next to her. The first minute, maybe longer, I don't know, you don't think about the race and it's just how is she? Because it looked bad. And after we picked up the speed and we were thinking about the race again and we thought, oh yeah. And then I realized I'm the first one of the team now, so we have to chase.
And after chasing down the American Mara Abbott, it was time to calculate the rush for the line. The prize, Olympic glory.
Yeah, you can calculate it, but there was not much calculating anymore because yeah, we were tired. We had a chase like the maximum. So, and I knew the sprint is coming and it's my chance to be Olympic champion. I have to win this, and I could feel a bit that Elisa was riding strong. And I was just hoping she did it until we got Mara back. And then I knew, of course, Emma's a good sprinter, so I need to start before Emma because my first part is not the strongest part. You have to feel it, and I saw the sign of 150 meters and I thought, okay, this is okay, I just go. After a race like this, the sprint, yeah, you can laugh about it because you cannot sprint anymore. And especially after a chase we did, it's just, you have to be first at the finish line, and I tried it. Maybe you cannot call it a sprint, but it was just perfect.
Winning gold would usually trigger a flood of positive emotions, but with the extent of teammate van Vleuten's injuries unknown at the time, those emotions would be mixed.
At the moment you are there and you realize I won the Olympics. It doesn't matter if Annemiek was not okay, the whole race doesn't matter. So that was the first thing, and I heard she's okay. So that was really, for me, a relief, like, okay, now I can watch around and where am I and what did I do?
And so it started to sink in, the new Olympic champion, and a chance to enjoy the moment with those closest to her.
My parents were there, my friend, and I don't know how they did it, but they were there. Of course you are happy and you have mixed feelings and you are tired because we did a long, hard race. I think also that was the first moment I could feel that it was not only we did the race, it was not only the four of us and the team around us, but the people also watched it in Holland. And you can really feel that in the Holland Heineken house. They are so proud of me and of us, of the team, and that feeling was really special. And it was a big party also, so really nice.
That day was a sprint workout day, and so we had a usual spot there about an hour outside of town. And so we rode out there, did our workout, and everything complete. Another training day done, and just really casual, normal 2x2 formation, 7 of us there, and just rolling back through the vineyards there. We came around the corner, or the driver came around the corner, but the feeling that I remember is just the initial reaction of like, she's in our lane, coming our way. What, is this real? What's happening? What do we do? Just the feeling of panic is one of the few memories that I have, and apparently it wasn't enough time for us to brake or get out of the way, or we weren't sure if she was going to swerve, if it was some prankster or something, just trying to scare us. And my next memory is of being on the ground with someone holding my neck, trying to staunch the bleeding there. But no, I don't think I lost consciousness. It just may be that my brain was like, this is a memory you don't want, we're gonna block this out. I realized I very easily could have died, and I wondered about my teammates and friends, because all I could remember was the mental image before impact. I was like, oh, we got hit head on by a car. I'm here, I'm alive somehow, but I knew nothing beyond that. That I found out after only, thankfully, just a couple hours of wondering when the team doctor came. I finally got the comprehensive update, and so that was a relief. There at the end of January, I thought getting to do anything this year was going to be a stretch. I wanted to at least make it back to where I was, and then see. Don't let the crazy freak crash decide how my career ends. I adjusted to traffic again fairly easily once I started training on the road, but physically it was really intense, just because the physics of an impact like that, I never imagined the effect it would have on my whole body. So my legs were eager to get going again, but my body was just destroyed at the end of training every day. And it was a lot of work to get back. And then I started racing again, and then the mental side of it started in, where it's just not necessarily just afraid of racing, but afraid of crashing. My first thought was, we're going really fast, and it was just flat ground, 50K an hour, but it's like, wow, this is not just training anymore, and trying to overcome the instinct to just brake that little bit sooner than everybody else, because I muster up the courage to fight for position and get in a good spot, and then just some little trigger. I mean, racing is nothing but almost crashing for hours on end. We're all fighting for space, and so just anything would happen, and then pull the brakes, and I gotta get back up there again. So it was just a long process of training that out of my instinct. I was very intimidated by the Giro, because I know what I went through in 2015, that was an exceptionally hard race, and I thought, I really don't know if I can pull this off right now. I started this year with really good legs, but I've been training so hard just to get back to that level that I wasn't as fresh normally as I would have been at the start of a Grand Tour. And so the first week was really good for me, but then all the fatigue caught up with me, and I was 30 kilometers from a crash-free Giro, and was finally taken down there on the circuits. Not too bad, nothing really injured, but it's like, okay, well, in a way it's good. It's like, okay, crashing and not really getting hurt is still possible. I mean, my poor mother, I put her through the ringer. She's always scared for me, but they always have supported me, and once I decided I was going to come back, they were fully behind me. All of us had especially the mental battle, getting back into racing and building that courage back up. We've had some conversations about that similar struggle that we all had to go through. But it's sort of an underlying, at least for me, feeling of we went through this exceptional, hopefully once in a lifetime thing together. I think I'm beyond it now. I think I'm finally into new territory. It's put things in perspective. I mean, even a bad day on the bike, you're frustrated with your performance, whatever, but you're like, it's bike racing. It's have fun with it. It ends all too quickly.
The 14th and 15th rounds of the UCI Women's World Tour landed in Vargarda, Sweden, for 2 days of racing spread over 3. The first day saw a team time trial, the only one of its kind on the UCI Women's World Tour. With the World Championships on the horizon, the Crescent Vargarda event offers the perfect opportunity for teams to practice their team time trialling skills in race conditions and see how they compare to their rivals.
I think the combination, team time trial and the road race a few days later, is a good combination. The road race is stepping up every year, and now with the sections, the gravel sections in it, makes it more interesting.
It's a hard course, but it's a really nice course for a TTT. We are here with a super strong team, so yeah, we go for the win. It's the only team time trial in the World Tour, so yeah, of course, every team wants to do well here, and yeah, it's also good in the build-up towards the World Championships.
The TTT is always yeah, a big goal for the big teams who want to go for the World's TTT and later on in Qatar, and it's basically is the first real measure point where everybody stands and where you stand as a team and the competition is. So it's always an interesting, a very interesting day.
Well, the TTT is a really special event. You know, it's one event in the year, other than, of course, the World Champs, where we can come together as a team and do it all together. And if we get a result like today, we're all on the podium.
And it was Boels Dolman's cycling team who took the top step of the podium with a time of 51:43. Cervelo Bigla and Rabobank Liv finishing second and third, respectively. As well as holding the only TTT on the UCI Women's World Tour, Vargarda offers a chance for individual success, as after a rest day, the riders faced a gruelling one-day race to finish off a unique weekend of racing.
From the beginning, it was that we had a men's race, also a UCI race, and then we put the women's race Friday, men's race Saturday, and then the road race on Sunday. And we keep it that way. I think it's good that the girls have one rest day because the TTT is demanding. We use the day for the people here in Vargarda with the Cycling for All event. It's great to give the people something to celebrate the day between, and then they have to wait one day for the great race.
And with the race taking over the town for the weekend, the locals, no strangers to cycling, certainly got into the spirit of things.
The community and village here have started a small event here where we can look at the race at the big screen, and we will follow the whole race by the screen, and of course when it pass here we will watch it and give them a big scream. It's really important because it gives a big focus, and we are proud to show the city and the countryside outside of Vargarda.
The race was well underway at this point. Nicole Hanselman of Cervelo Bigla was the lone rider in the early breakaway. After the first of 4 gravel sections, her 2-minute lead quickly dropped. And with the fight to be at the front hotting up behind, she'd be reeled in by the peloton by the time the second dirt road sector was complete. But that wouldn't last long. The winning break would form soon after, just as the race re-entered the municipality of Vargarda to take on the final local laps. Shara Gillow of Rabo Liv, Amanda Spratt of Orica AIS, Ale Cipollini's Emilia Farlin, Finnish champion Lotta Lepisto of Cervelo Bigla, with Amy Peters representing Wiggle High Five, Liv Planteur's Julia Suk, and Chantal Black of Boels Dolman's all joining them. Attacks would continue behind, but with most of the main teams represented, the lack of organisation played into the breakaway's hands. Coming into the final corner, Amy Peters was in pole position with Emilia Farlin, Lotta Lepisto and Chantal Black ready to challenge. After the right-hander, Peters started the sprint early. Farlin, though, was rewarded for waiting, jumping just at the right moment and in the end sprinting to victory in her home country. So a win for Sweden, a win for Emilia Farlin, plenty for the local fans to cheer about. So the top 10 looked like this, with Emilia Farlin winning ahead of Lepisto and Chantal Black rounding out the podium. Peters and Confalnieri making up the top 10. A podium, though, with a Swedish winner. In the UCI Women's World Tour rankings, Megan Guarnier now has an unassailable lead. The fight for second place, though, is on.
For me, this is one of the biggest goals throughout it's one of my most favorite races in the whole year, and it's special because I'm Swedish and now it's part of the World Tour and the biggest riders are here, and it's a dream to win it.
Now in its 9th year, the race is seen as one of the favourites by the riders, media and fans alike, thanks to its mix of disciplines and terrain, providing a challenging and entertaining weekend of racing.
This event in Varda, the Crescent Women's World Tour event, does a great job to bring exposure to women's cycling. You know, they've got us on TV and they're giving us good media attention, so this is one of the top events, and that's why it's an important race for us.
Well, that's the last in the current series of inCycle. Remember to join us next year, but until then, keep in touch on social media.